So, backed by popular demand, we'll just call this a spinning head production. Today, we want to talk a little bit about the men that met at Independence Hall in Philadelphia in 1775 through 1776. This group of men who risked their lives and who stood on ideals and wrote the Declaration of Independence. And as we begin to look at those men, we need to examine their motivations and their principles. And I think they were principled men, but they also were politicians, and they understood that with principles there came compromise. And so when they wrote those words, we believe that all men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They meant that. Now, I know everybody wants to criticize and say, oh, well, it was only white men. It excluded women, it excluded slaves, but they were men of their times, and I feel like they did what they did with good intention and that they truly valued liberty. But we need to go past the Declaration. We need to move to, once you've declared yourself a nation, but what kind of nation are you going to be? And they looked at a lot of different things that they did look at. A solid federal government, maybe even a monarchy. There were people who said George Washington should be a monarchy. What they decided on was they needed to be a confederation. They were to be a nation of states, not a central government that dictated what was going on around them. They were going to be this nation of states. And so they decided that they needed to lean towards liberty over any kind of tyranny. And they were so afraid of tyranny, they were fighting a war to get rid of tyranny, and they had dealt with this whole idea of they're going to be dictated to. And so they came up with the Articles of Confederation. We criticized the Articles. We talked about how weak the Articles of Confederation were. And they were weak. They had serious problems. But ultimately, when you come right down to it, they were exactly what the framers wanted. Now, they didn't do exactly what they wanted to do, but they wanted a cooperative form of government in which, again, the states were preeminent. So if we were to look at the United States under the Articles of Confederation, think more of a committee with everybody there, no central government for all intents and purposes, all states being equal, working together for a common goal. Now, any of you that's ever worked on a committee realizes that that doesn't always work, because you've got to make sure that everyone who's working together are working for that common goal. So when they got the Articles of Confederation, they understood its weaknesses, but they got the government, the exact government they desired.